It's Wake Up Nigeria, and we have so much more in store.
Yeah, of course, there's still so much coming up. Habiba Balogun will be joining us this morning to talk about the need and benefits of budgeting for women.
And on styling tips for all the natural hair enthusiasts, we'll be bringing you a live tutorial right here on the show. On accessing funds to grow your small and medium-scale businesses, we have a report for you on the opportunities that you can tap into to grow your businesses, of course. And a performance from Joey Crush.
Mr. Crush himself.
Yeah, it's going to be happening right here.
So, Mary, how's it going? How's your little girl?
She's doing great.
Are we back in school this week, or we're waiting till
We don't want to go to school.
Do you know what drives me crazy about the back to school week? It's the way traffic grows on the roads.
Yeah.
It feels like everyone just remembered, oh, I have to get onto the road.
And it happens to be raining this morning, so you can just imagine.
Children already have an excuse.
School's resuming, all the school buses out there, parents coming out.
You just get to the
everyone going to work.
Just decide today, no school, homeschooling today. Just let the school know.
Homeschooling, that's what the problem is.
Yeah.
See mommy here.
See, it's called homeschool. You homeschool them.
Yeah.
But we need to.
All the schooling of how many weeks now?
Some people might still, some people might still be wondering why we're wearing the gold ribbons again. So we should just remind them. Of course, it's for Childhood Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes.
And you know, the interview you had much earlier, it really drew attention. Like I was, early diagnosis and all of that. Yeah. It would really help. I was almost moved to tears. It was quite shocking.
If you didn't get to see that interview, you should go on to our website. That's tvcontinental.tv. There'll be a clip of it right there so that you can get all the information you need on Childhood Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes, indeed.
Okay,
amazing.
So I'm going to be like just watching out to see who tweets first about the back to school activity happening in the house, because there's this rush. Oh, where's the school bag? Oh, where are the socks? Where's the uniform? Where's everything?
And this is a new school year, so you know how that is. Everything is new.
Shoes
are new, uniforms are new, bags are new, and I've got 3 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
And each
I'm
child
not supposed to be
something
smiling
new.
right now.
You're supposed to be smiling.
But I am.
Because you have daughters, don't you? Yeah.
Yes, I've got one daughter and 2 sons.
One daughter, okay. The bride price is much.
They will use the bags they used last time. What's wrong with the bags?
What's that supposed to be?
What is wrong with the bags?
Every child wants a new bag. They just want
And new
one.
underwear, new
Honestly,
clothes,
new socks.
They just want a new bag.
shoes, everything.
See, we'll have to find a way around that.
You should start saving now. It's never too early.
We can find a way around that. I don't know. Is it a necessity?
Did you not get it yourself?
Honestly,
Did you
Mike,
not?
just don't worry. When your time comes and those kids start doing puppy eyes.
I like the way Titi said, when your time comes.
Yes. Puppy eyes are crazy. They'll be looking at you like this.
And then you have all these new fancy bags now, with the Iron Man bag,
Expensive fancy bag.
the Star Wars bag,
exactly.
Oh my goodness,
Avengers bags.
I don't know that.
All right. So I'm going to try and think about my ATM card not, growing wings and flying somewhere to hide. But it's the top of the hour. Before we get to all the other interesting stuff on the show, let's get to the news with Ike.
Titi, thank you. The destroyed secretariat of Michika local government of Adamawa State and 12 other structures are to be rebuilt at a cost of 390 million naira. That's about $1.1 million. Speaking at the flag-off ceremony of the reconstruction, the executive director of the Victim Support Fund, Professor Sunday Ochoche, says other projects will be undertaken in Madagali and Hang as after work is done in Michika. The ongoing rumble is that of the former edifice called Michika Local Government Secretariat in Adamawa State. Earlier, of course, it was pulled down by Boko Haram terrorists. The Victim Support Fund, after receiving official letter from Governor Jabola Bindu for assistance on its rebuild, deployed its resources to the ongoing projects. The Adamawa State Working Committee of the All Progressive Congress has distanced itself from Atiku Abubakar's presidential ambition. The vice chairman of APC's Northern Zone, Mohammed Abdullahi, and the organizing secretary, Ahmed Lawal, condemned the call by the Minister of Women Affairs. They say it is unfortunate that the serving minister could, let me quote now, heat up the polity, especially when the APC government was working very hard to deliver on its campaign promises. End quote. The presidential media aide Garba Shehu says that the production of locally blended fertilizer has saved the federal government about $150 million this year alone, and about 60 billion naira on budgetary provisions for fertilizer subsidy. Shehu said this at the weekend on during an audience participation program on FRCN in Kaduna. According to him, about 4 million bags of fertilizers will be distributed to farmers under the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative at an affordable price before the end of the year. This show said is an indication that the initiative has helped to reduce food-induced inflation, while economic activities across the agriculture sector are very impressive. In other stories, to commemorate the World Polio Day, Nigeria National Polio Plus Committee is partnering the Psychology Riding Club to raise awareness on the deadly disease. Nigeria was without a case of polio from 2014 through 2016 until 4 new cases were discovered in Borno. As such, Nigeria was relisted as a polio endemic country. The Polio Plus Committee says that with the support of Psychology Riding Club, more awareness will be created and funds would also be available to fight the childhood killer disease. The Florida Governor, Rick Scott, says that he has requested a major disaster declaration from President Donald Trump. This follows as it warns the devastating storm surges hit the western coast of Florida as Irma churned northward. Packing winds of up to 130 miles per hour, the hurricane knocked out electricity to more than 1 million Florida homes and businesses as it headed towards the state's Gulf Coast. Florida Power and Light says that the damage sustained so far from Irma would have to be rebuilt completely and could take weeks to do so. Well, that's the news now. We'll bring you the weather update again to help you, of course, plan the rest of your day, and thereafter Titi and Yomi and the rest of the crew will be back.
It's time again for sports, and Super Mike
is on standby.
Yeah, where else would I be?
Yeah.
All right, Rafael Nadal won his 3rd U.S. Open and 16th Grand Slam title with a one-sided victory over South Africa's Kevin Anderson in New York. The world #1 par to a 6-3, 6-3, 6-4 victory in Sunday's final at Flushing Meadows. The Spaniard has now won 2 slams in the same year for the first time since 2013, having won the French Open in June. The result also means this year's major titles have been shared between Nadal at the French and US Open and Roger Federer at the Australian Open and Wimbledon. Federer, though, remains at the top of the men's all-time Grand Slam list with 19 titles, 3 ahead of Nadal, who has now won 16 majors, 10 of them at the French Open. The Nigerian national senior men's basketball team, the Tigers, suffered their first defeat at the ongoing 2017 Afro-Basket Championship in Tunis, losing by 83 to 77 points against DR Congo. Nigeria won the first 2 quarters, 2019 and 17-15, but the Congolese improved in the second half as the third quarter ended all square at 18-all. In the deciding fourth quarter, the East Africans fared better, winning 31-22 to register an 83-77 points win over the Tigers, who are the defending champions. Captain Ike Diogo yet again was the top performer for Nigeria with 21 points. And then let's take a look at some EPL results. Jamal Lascelles was the unlikely hero as Newcastle claimed a 1-0 win at Swansea without manager Rafa Benitez. The Magpies keepers towering a 76th-minute header proved decisive as the visitors secured a victory to give absent Benitez a timely boost as he recovers from hernia surgery. In the other game of the day, Chris Wood scored on his full debut as Burnley beats Crystal Palace to move into the top half of the Premier League table and increase the pressure on Eagles boss Frank de Boer. And then to the women's side of the US Open, unseeded Sloane Stephens produced an emphatic display to dismantle fellow American Madison Keys and win her first Grand Slam at the US Open on Saturday. In the first All-American final since the Williams sisters played each other for the title in 2002, Stephens ran riot to win 6-3, 6-love in a surprising one-sided encounter on Arthur Ashe Stadium. Stephens joins 2009 champion Kim Clijsters as the only unseeded women's champions in the Open era. Of course, that's it on sports update. No, there was just one thing. It wasn't about you guys, but there was something else that made me not want to say it. So I have to come up with something more ingenious.
You're going to have to. And then send it to us for approval.
All right, take it away.
All right, thanks so much, Mike. Straight to the papers this morning. We're starting with The Nation with the headline, Campaign Chief, Atiku is plotting Buhari's failure. I've been sidelined. Comment draws flack. Ex-VP defends his role. That's on the cover of The Nation. And then also, doctors fail to call off strike after signing MOU. And fracas around IPOB leader Kanu's home. And then also, my adoption in order, says Fireshare's deputy. That's on page 12 in The Nation this morning.
On the cover of The Punch, we have federal government states borrow 7.51 trillion naira under Buhari. That's on page 31. Total debt now stands at 19.63 trillion naira. It says here, wedding day, gunmen abduct man, fiancé, and 5 others in Ondo. You can read more about that on page 5. Al-Hassan attacks Fani Kayode, says ex-minister is a liar. That's on page 27. Quite a bit in the Punch this morning.
All right, and then on the cover of the Daily Sun, it leads with herdsmen, farmers clash, no end in sight. That's from the federal government. And then says herdsmen, farmers clash can't be stopped now. And then still on the cover of the Daily Sun, shooting at Nnamdi Kanu's residence. And then electoral reforms, we were used, dumped. Nnamani panel cries out. That's on the cover of the Daily Sun.
On this day newspaper, it says FG IOCs finalize evaluation for bids for $13.5 billion. Zaba Zaba deep water project. 50% of FPSO to be fabricated, integrated in country. APC to submit restructuring framework to federal government, says Oyegu. And ARIC shareholders file a 20 billion naira suit against federal government, Ethiopian Airlines. That's on page 49. That's one to read up on.
Yeah, and then finally, on the cover of the Vanguard, IPOB, many injured as troops attack Kanu's home. We neither attacked nor killed anyone. The army responding there. And then Arik Air files 20 billion naira suit against federal government, Ethiopian Airlines. And then no respite as doctors' strike persists. Atiku to Buhari, fulfill your campaign promise to Nigerians on security. These are the headlines in the newspapers this morning. And the newspaper headlines were proudly supported by Dettol. Be 100% sure. Let's go on a short break now, and of course we'll be right back and find out what's happening with the sweet potato hash in the kitchen.
I'm hungry already.
And of course, it's still Wake Up Nigeria. I've still got the chef trying to prepare the sweet potato hash and sunny side up.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
As you can see the potatoes already. I'll let him do all the description.
So basically, like I said, we just need to cook the potatoes a little while, like 5 minutes.
Okay.
So what we have done is, with olive oil, we've been able to sear it a little bit. You can see it has this brown coat.
Yeah,
Yes,
I see.
it's crisp right now. So the bell peppers and the onions, they are in here right now.
Okay.
So what is going in the next is, we've cooked this a little bit, the sausages. So we're just going to put it here. Now what is going to work in these dishes, the sweetness of the potatoes and the saltiness from the sausages. That is going to bring this together.
Wow.
So while we do this,
May
we
I
bring
help you
it
with that
together.
so you can get
Yeah.
the eggs? Okay.
So basically, this is almost ready.
I see.
Yes, it is almost ready. So the next thing we're going to make is the sunny side up. So basically what we've done again is to cook the potatoes. What we are doing right now, we seared the potatoes, then we used a little bit of olive oil, bell peppers, onions, and the potatoes in it. And now we've added the sausages we cooked by the side. So we've cooked, bringing this together. Just stir it a little bit. You know it's ready when. You know it's ready when. It's okay. You know it's ready when everything is crisp. You know.
Everything has to be crispy.
Not everything necessarily, but
Okay.
some sides of the potatoes will be crisp and all and everything. So basically, our sweet potato hash is ready.
This is it?
Yes, that is it. It's
Wow.
like I said, it's a very simple process.
Quite easy.
Yes, it's quite easy. So basically, what we're making next is
The sunny side up.
the sunny side up.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
So-
if you're just tuning in, it's sweet potato hash. And what we have in there, we've boiled the potatoes, we've seared them, we have the green pepper in it, we have the onions in it, and we also have the sausages in it. The only thing left now is the sunny side up.
So basically, trick to making sunny side up is do not let the oil be hot. You know, you just need to reduce this a little.
Do not let the oil be hot.
Don't let it to be too hot, you know, because you actually want to cook it in such a way that it is not runny.
Okay.
So what you do is, before it gets hot,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh.
Oh, it's getting too hot. So you need to reduce it.
Okay. So that's the trick to it. It mustn't get too hot.
No, it shouldn't.
Little tricks we learn from chefs every day. We'll go over to Titi now as she discusses budgeting tips with Habiba Balogun.
Thanks, Mary. Okay, so speaking of budgeting, man, Miyonse, what's the budget for that meal? Because right now I think, ₦1 billion hungrier just by smelling what you're... Honestly, how much is the budget?
The budget basically is this eggs like 100 naira, potatoes like 300, sausages 400.
No, the potatoes should be like 200.
You know, everything all together is 1,000 naira at most. So
Wow.
8,000 naira.
at
Yeah.
most, yes.
That's
So
a
while
quick
this is
meal.
cooking, the eggs are cooking. Just
So
put
why-
a tablespoon of water.
So
and you're
why are
good.
we talking about budgeting this morning? It's very simple. A budget is a financial plan for the future concerning the revenue and costs of an individual business or a state or a nation or even a household. Having and following a spending plan will not only keep you out of debt, it'll also ensure that you always have money for things you need and the things that are most important to you. Habiba Balogun is once again here to help us with the best ways to go about this.
Yeah.
Welcome, Habiba.
Thank you. Great. Morning.
We're back here again.
Yes, we are.
So much to talk about when it comes to, you know, budgeting. But for those that don't understand what it is that a budget represents, can we break it down in layman's terms? What's a budget?
Okay, so a budget basically is, what are my life's goals?
Okay.
Do I want to educate my children?
Okay.
Do I want to become a wealthy man or a wealthy woman?
Okay.
Do I want to build a house? Okay, you have a financial goal in your life, and then you decide, how am I going to do that? And you start by calculating your income.
Okay.
And your income is not your salary. Your income is any money you get from anywhere. So there's nothing like a woof, right?
Wow.
That somebody just gave you some money.
Like,
any money that somebody gives you is part of your income. If you have property, you're lucky, and you collect rent, that rent is part of your income, plus your earnings, your salary and your business revenue. So you calculate all your income. How much do I make? Write it down. In a month, let's make it easy, let's do it monthly, okay? In a month, how much do I make in a month on average? After you calculate your income, you then look at your expenditure.
Okay.
How much do I spend? People only count rent, fueling, car, maybe school fees, the big things.
NEPA, and, you know.
See, NEPA and all those things, you should count them.
Yeah.
If you pay for parking every day, if you dash or give money to beggars, any money you spend on anything is your expenditure.
Okay.
So you also calculate that in a month. And many people don't know how much they make because they only know how much their salary is. You know, many people get overtime, they get tips from other people.
Yeah.
They've never sat down and calculated in a month, how much have I actually, money I've received? They only calculate their salary. So that's the first mistake. Second mistake is you never calculate how much you spend because you only count the big things. So at the end of every day, just like if you are somebody who brushes your teeth at night or you say prayers at night, you should also sit down at night and list down, what did I spend today? What did I spend today?
Okay.
List it down. So every day you know how much you spent. That's what we're talking about, a budget. How much comes into your hands and how much goes out of your hands. That's it.
Okay, so now doing this every day feels like a lot of work. And I've heard of some applications on the phone now, on your devices that actually help you with that. There's one particular app I have where every single time I spend something, I just write it down and it calculates everything for me. But not a lot of people are, you know, as tech savvy as I am. And I think I had to go that route because I felt I was losing money from somewhere. But what about the average person who doesn't really feel like budgeting is going to help them? How does it actually help me know, you know, what's going to happen by the end of the month?
Well, you know, money is like rain. You know, it rained this morning. It came in, everywhere got flooded. A few hours later, it has dried.
Okay.
Some of the water went into the gutter.
Yeah.
Some of it will evaporate. Some of it soaked into the earth. Money is like that too. It comes in and it goes out. Other people are planning for your money. Your school proprietor is planning how they're going to collect your money. The telecoms company is planning how they're going to collect your money through credit.
And data.
And data. The petrol company is planning how everybody is planning for how they're going to collect your money. You too, you need to plan how you're going to keep
your money.
If you don't, you are just going to be the victim of other people's plans. So you need a plan. And before you can have a plan, you have to have a goal. So what do I want in my life?
Okay.
Okay. And we need money for everything. How can I increase my income? Or if I cannot increase my income, how can I reduce my spending so that I can start working towards getting that thing that I want in my life?
Okay.
So that's why a budget is so important.
All right. So now I hate to be the one to scare everyone, but I've, you know, noted down the line, you know, from people who have had bad experiences with debt. I want everyone to know what would happen if you don't, in 2017, have a budget. What happens if you don't have one?
Now, what happens if you don't have it is that you run out of money. That's the bottom line. And you become a beggar. You might not be a beggar on the street, but you might be a beggar going to your friends' houses or, okay?
Yeah.
You run out of money and your children, you might have to change your children's school, take them out of school. It can be very drastic. It can be very, very, very drastic, especially when money is tight, when there's a recession, when the economy is not the best. You have to have a manager. You have to be able to control your spending. And you might think you are doing it consciously. Yeah. When you write it down, that's when you realize that you're not. So the first rule of having a budget is that you must write it down. And these days, 21st century, writing it down doesn't mean just on paper. You can use an app.
Yes.
You can do your phone. But the first thing is writing it down. And the second thing is tracking your spending. So this month, this is how much I have. This is how much I'm going to spend. Your spending includes your savings towards the buying the land, your school fees. The spending includes the savings towards that. You are tracking it.
So, your savings is not what's left after expenditure?
No, your savings is part of your expenditure.
Wow.
Your savings is part of your expenditure.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you will stick to your budget because we know what's going to happen. Somebody falls sick. There's an accident. Somebody needs help. And your budget goes out of the window. You wake up and your water pump is not working. Okay, and you need water. So you have to have a reason for that budget.
Okay.
If I give this person money now for the hospital, or I replace this water pump now, that means my children will no longer be educated. So you know that that's the choice you are making when you go out of your budget. You can make a budget. If you don't stick to it, there's no point.
Okay.
So I'm not saying don't help anybody, but you should know how much you can afford
to help people
so that you can continue to work towards your life goals of educating your children, building your house, becoming wealthy, whatever it is that you want to do.
Now I have to, as in honestly, you've already blown my mind with what you said, especially about savings being part of your expenditure. We're going to be making sure this particular interview is placed on our website. That's tvcontinental.tv. You need to go there if you missed any part of this. It's important. We're going on a short break now. And on tips to style your natural hair, we'll be back with Mary in a bit.